Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the All Right Podcast. Remember, it's not the best podcast, but it's not the worst podcast. It's just an All Right Podcast. Guys, welcome back to episode 37. I'm here with Jonah. Yes, and Jonah, please don't kill me, but I don't know how to pronounce your second name. So guys, here is Jonah. Welcome, Jonah. Welcome to the podcast.
Aloha.
Hello.
That's totally fine. My last name is awkward for everybody. It's pronounced Worcester. It's spelled Worcester.
Right.
But spelled Worcester, which everyone says Worcester, even though there's no H there. But
Yeah,
I've been correcting people on that all my life.
But like when did you go to school over here? Did you go over to school over in the Irish schools? Like secondary school or anything like?
Yeah. So no, I do have an interesting background. Okay, so I was born in California, Santa Monica.
Perfect.
And then like 6 months later, my parents moved to Hawaii, where my dad grew up and where a lot of my American family lived. And so Hawaii is where my childhood was. I grew up in Hawaii till I was about 9 years old. And my mom is half Irish, and like all her family live here, basically, or most of her family live here. And because of family reasons, whatever, moved here when I was about 9 years old, roughly. And then I've been living in Ireland ever since, except for 1 year when I went back to California to study abroad from Maynooth, which was really funny. Yeah, being an international student from Ireland with this accent, it was so funny. As you remember, I said in my stand-up bit. And so, yeah, I finished primary school here from third class on, and then I did all secondary school here and college here.
Jesus. See, yeah. I like doing these types of podcasts because for people that don't know, Jonah and John actually ran a comedy night and a live sessions in Maynooth. And how you've done that for like 7 years, didn't you? You've done that for a good few years.
The live sessions was going for 7 years, yeah, and they went from multiple pubs in Maynooth, and they were always there. I wasn't always as active as I was in the last 2 years, but they was always there, and I would go to every now and then and play like original songs or covers or whatever, because it felt like that kind of inviting atmosphere for people that wanted to like aspiring to play, and as like a first year in college and second year going on. I loved getting involved in it, but last year was the year I really got involved in, where I was actually helping them organize events and getting more active on the social media and that kind of stuff, and getting more opportunities like doing the comedy night, which I never would have done prior to that.
Yeah, well, for the people that don't know, I started doing stand-up comedy again, and I'm being God on the street. I know when I'm the type of person that if someone gives me a compliment for like, oh, please just say something negative, I'm more comfortable saying something negative. But for the likes of yourself, John, you and John, when I went in there, you are very welcoming, and it kind of eased me, even though I was in the corner, like taking a panic attack or something. The minute I go up on stage, I knew it was grand. Do you get me? Because I was like, right, these guys here seem cool, and I don't really know anybody else. So, but for the people that don't know, Jonah is actually one of the guys that actually gave me my opportunity to go back up and do stand up. You are literally one of the guys, and I'm actually glad that you kept in touch. Do you get me? Because I was like, right, probably this guy's just going to see me once, and then he's just going to be like, right, move on to the next one. But no, you're actually a cool fucking guy. Like, do you get me? And then I was like, where's he from? And I was like, Nicola, where's he from? And then Nicola was like, I don't know. He goes, I think he's posh. I think he's from Lucan. And Nick's like, no, he's definitely not from Lucan. And I was like, right, okay. And then you told me, I found out. But then when you done your song, because you have a song that you will be performing on the podcast, that I enjoy a lot, and I've actually heard it a good few times now that I could sing along to it, and I know I could.
Oh, lovely!
Yeah, but I'm not going to sing along. Don't worry. I'll let you.
Okay.
You do your own thing. I hate when people do that, Joe. When people are singing, and then people that can't sing try to sing, and you're like, you're fucking up this whole act. Like, I hate it. It's so embarrassing. But yeah, as you were saying, you're in California, then you moved to Hawaii as well. So for the likes of that, moving over when you're 9, what is that like as a kid moving over?
What's
the
quite the
differences
culture shock.
Yeah. What's the differences?
the differences. Oh God, we have enough time. There is a lot of
A
differences.
short little yoke, yeah.
No, there is a lot of differences, obviously, but like I actually was fortunate enough a year before we moved here officially with my family. Like we had visited Ireland for the first time when I was about 8 years old, no, 8 or 7 years old. Maybe it was a little more than that, but so I had been to Ireland before. And that actually was back when we still had the pound, so I got to see Ireland
All right,
before that change. Yeah,
yeah.
um, just to give context to that. And but I think the one of the biggest things I noticed, because I really didn't like school in America. I thought it was very. I was always kind of awkward kid
Mm.
socially, and I was more into more nerdy things and not into sports and stuff. And in America, like I don't know, like they just care more about this like getting the information. And there's like say, okay, this is something so nerdy to give an example to, but I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so excited when I started in primary school to have books, like the
Books.
proper like a poetry, a English book or a history book, or like
Yeah,
in America it was all about paperwork and a
yeah.
paperwork sheet for everything. And there's something I found so special, even though they were heavy, to have books. I thought was so cool, and I thought the approach to education in Ireland was I'm not sure to say more in depth or just more caring. There's something about it. I loved school then
Yeah.
when I was
It was
here. I
easy on
actually
you. It was probably easier,
enjoyed
wasn't it?
it. I wouldn't say it was easier. I've always
Yeah.
struggled with homework and assignments,
Yeah, yeah,
etc.
yeah.
But it was definitely I definitely feel like I learned more. I couldn't tell you much I learned when I was like before the age of 9. I couldn't really tell you many.
Yeah.
I couldn't just recite memories I had in
Yeah.
school in America, but in Ireland I could remember distinct days, and the day I learned like I don't know division or something. I can like remember that kind of stuff
Mm.
because it just stayed with me from. So education was one thing that was very different in a very positive way. Obviously, weather, that's something that everyone will say,
Yeah.
obviously. But Ireland, at the end of the day, is an island like Hawaii is. So when Ireland gets hot, it does have Hawaiian vibes to it, those kind of
Oh,
humid vibes.
right.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, we're getting good weather lately now.
We are.
I'm walking around in a pair of shorts and I'm with me chicken legs out and I'm so pale and I'm just like I'm gonna embrace it. I'm gonna embrace it. I don't mind. But for the likes of that, so you said you don't really remember kind of the school stuff. It's more when you come over here you start remembering all that kind of important stuff.
Mm.
Um, what was probably your earliest childhood memory that you would literally remember for the rest of your life? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
No, I have thought about this. I actually distinctly remember doing this as I think a junior cert English question. I think this is on like one of the exam papers
oh,
or leaving cert or something. It was like your earliest memory. I can say my earliest memory is my sister being born. My
oh,
sister's 3.5 years younger than me, and I can distinctly remember that night before she was born and the anticipation of going to the hospital with my grandparents and like seeing my baby sister for the first time. That is definitely the earliest
mm,
memory. Like before that, like a memory of like me, my mom, and my dad, just as the three of us on our own. It gets foggy, but I can distinctly remember that.
mm,
I remember having watermelon for breakfast with my grandparents because I was
yeah.
my parents were at the hospital.
Mm.
Um, that'd be my earliest childhood memory. Yeah, three
But
and a half.
see them little things that you remember about like having the little watermelons and stuff like that as well, right? Um, isn't it something so small that makes you feel so happy? It just makes you have it's just a good feeling.
Mm,
I remember, man, my granddad he passed away in 2007 or something, like ages ago, right? But um I remember I didn't want to go to school and I wasn't in secondary school. I was like in fifth class or fourth class or something like that. And I remember coming home from school, going to my granddad's house and saying that I don't feel well. But he knew that I wasn't sick. I just wanted to go off school. And he's turned
mm,
around to me and he goes, really? Right, grand. Well, do you want to sit up on the couch then? And I goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he gave me a blanket and he made me a sandwich, ham and bloody ham and butter sandwich, whatever, normal sandwich, cut it in half, gave me Club Orange. I remember sitting there watching the telly and he goes, right now, this is between me and you now, isn't it? We don't tell your ma. And I go, no, I don't think she needs to know. But something like that, like thinking back to that one as a child, it's just so happy. It just makes me so happy. Something so small. And them little memories, man, they're the most. I think when we're older and so like that, that's the things we're gonna remember the most. Like that should we cherish. Do you get me? Like them little
Yeah,
small memories. It's
I,
just
I definitely agree with that.
yeah. If I watch a
And
Disney film now, man, I'd literally just go back and I can show you the world, and I'm just fucking back on as a child. Like, do you get me? But
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was
Um,
just gonna say on that note, like, yeah, like I was a kid, as I said earlier, that I found I was awkward socially and stuff like that, and I actually had more comfort as a child, like staying at home
hmm,
with like my mom while my dad was at work, my sister was in play school, and like I'm finding, just to relate to like the current situation, I'm actually finding I'm just channeling my inner child basically,
hmm.
and I'm just doing things that I've not done in so long. Like I've gotten very into Lego recently
I like it.
because
Come here. I'm not gonna hate on that. That's pretty great.
oh yeah, no, but
Yeah,
because mainly because Tesco is one of the few shops we can still go to, and the big Tesco Maynooth has like a Lego section.
yeah, yeah,
And every time I've gone shopping in the last month, I've just been picking up like a €10 whatever motorbike Lego or
yeah.
whatever it is, and now I have several like things, and just doing lots of like that, watching kids movies, drawing,
Yeah.
like just
Something
all
so
these kind of,
simple, isn't it? It's something so
yeah,
easy and
simple,
simple that you
like
can't like just sit down. You like if this wasn't going on, all of this, we wouldn't have time for that. Like to sit down, just build some Lego man or draw a picture. It's fucking relaxing. Like so chill.
and I find it like I don't know, mentally kind of therapeutic in a interesting way to like be in that kind of child mindset again. So I'm finding peace with the situation, as is the healthiest thing I find, because it's so easy to get anxious looking at the news,
Yeah.
hearing the radio, just getting scared about the world and what's happening, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't really do much about it. You don't really have much control over it, but the thing you can do is just stay home and
Yeah, that's very
and
true. Yeah.
just and just watch a movie, or just
Mm,
pick up a new skill, bring back an old skill, whatever it is.
mm,
And I
mm.
find it really cool, all the kind of creative things people are doing right now. Like you're making so much content, and I
Come
find
here,
it so
man. The
inspiring.
amount of content I'm making now since I'm in, I'm like, what else can I do? So I'm kind of getting, I'm starting to run out of ideas, but I
I
think
have
I'll
too
just
many
go back
ideas.
and do like gameplays and let's plays and stuff like that. Just something simple for people to watch.
Hmm.
But as you were saying, you said this a few minutes ago that when you were a kid, you kind of, if I'm saying it right, you kind of stayed inside more, didn't you? You kind of stayed inside more. So from going from that, like to being kind of awkward and shy to the way you are now, because I don't think you're like personally when you came over to me and you go around to everybody, I don't think you are awkward and shy. So I think at some point that kind of broke. I could be wrong, and you could just be doing that just because you know you have to.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah,
You're definitely right.
yeah,
Yeah, no, my life changing. What changed my life was because I said I was very quiet. I was very into PlayStation. That's another thing I'm doing lately, specifically PS2, because I haven't updated my console since the PS2.
yeah.
But my life, where I started to kind of break out of my shell of being kind of shy and awkward and having more than like just two core friends, was in sixth class when I got my first skateboard,
Mm,
and was kind of following my dad's footsteps, who was a skater when he was a teenager and encouraged it to me. And I always
mm,
thought skateboarding was so cool. And then I was in like I lived in my Irish
mm,
where I've lived in Ireland for like 10 years. I've been living in Ireland like about 17 years now, and until I moved to Maynooth for college and all that, and still living there now.
mm.
Currently, I lived in this small town in Galway called Loughrea. It's like on the way to the city. Shout out to all my Loughrea friends.
Yeah,
And there's a small skate park there in the park, and like going there and becoming friends with guys that were like older than me, like by a few years or so,
mm,
and all that kind of stuff, and like learning to skateboard, and that was like also leading to getting into music,
mhm.
and then learning instruments, and then I ended up having a metal band. I was in a metal band, hard rock band for a while,
Yeah,
and that was that was me starting to break out of my shell gradually over time. And then when I went to college and left school and everything, I just from day one was like just going out there. I was like, I'm gonna make friends. I'm gonna, like, I used to be so afraid of girls, like
Yeah.
even just be friends with girls,
Yeah.
as a lot of guys would probably relate. And in college, it was like that went out the door. I was like, no, I'm gonna be friends with like every single type of person
Yeah.
that I can meet and not be afraid to talk to anyone. And my time in youth, like was so just wild and out there from
Mm.
like the college perspective, and also from like I got so involved in the student union and clubs and societies, and the list goes on. And that's where I really just broke out of my shell and really
Mm.
like became the kind of person I am now.
That's good. I come here. I was kind of like going earlier on. I was like, right, what are we going to talk about or so? But like right now, literally, it's so natural, man. Like it is. Like when I started
Exactly.
off doing these podcasts, I didn't know what to say to people. When I actually had people in the little small studio that I kind of had, I kind of rented a
Mm,
studio, and it was in like a community center or so. But I was kind of renting that. But even face to face, I'm like, what am I going to talk to these people about? But I know if you came into the center, that would be the exact
mm,
same way now as well. And when you were saying that when you were younger, you were kind of like, you were quiet and so, man, I'm not even joking. I was the exact same. The teacher, I'd be like, Anthony, what is that question? I'd be like, oh, no. And I wouldn't talk. Like, I literally wouldn't talk.
mm.
And the first time I ever broke out of being shy is there was this talent show, okay? And Michael Jackson just died. And I was a fan of Michael Jackson, but when he died, I remember sitting in that sitting room for that whole summer, my sitting room, and my ma would bring in drinks and so, and I'd be sweating, and I'd be watching every Michael Jackson video, but tutorials on how to dance. I remember when I went back to school, it was the 6th year, it was the final year. It was 2011 going into 2012. You get me? So like that. So
Mm.
the school talent show was there, and I would be the type of person that the girls would pick up for me in class because the boys would take the piss out of me, like, and I remember someone came around one day and goes, does anybody want to sign up to Skill Talent Show? And I went, yeah, I do. And everybody just went, like a film. And it was just like, what? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to dance. And I was like, you can't dance. And I'm like, I don't know. So I signed my name up. And I remember that night, I got a white short on. I got a black, long black, like kind of short. I got black shoes, white socks, nice pump. I got pumps. They're the real slidey shoes. I broke them down.
Yeah.
I got a hat, Michael Jackson hat, and my hair was like this now, the way it is now. And it was longer on the sides. It was like the Bebo days where I had Justin Bieber here. And I
Oh
got up on
yeah.
stage, Jonah. And I remember the minute the song played, everybody was quiet. And I start dancing. And I guarantee you, I'm telling you, by the end of that, everybody that was bullying me in school, everybody that wasn't really talking to me, and all the parents and all and everything, everybody stood up and started fucking like that, right? And I remember just going, oh, this is how it feels. This is what it feels like to fucking entertain and do like that. Because you know yourself when you're up on stage and entertain, and I just goes, oh my God, this is
Mm.
what it's like to enter fucking, this is like a fucking rush. I don't have to do drugs or anything. This is fucking my drugs. This is a rush. And I remember from there on out, I never got bullied. I was never bullied again. I was bullied in school, but I was never bullied again. Everybody was like, oh, there's Michael, do the moonwalk. And I do the moonwalk going down the corridors. Everybody was like, oh, look at that. And it was just good. Because that just reminded me of that when you were saying that when you broke out of that by doing a lot of that. So I wish in school I was more involved in stuff, but I remember in college I'd be more involved in stuff. I went to college in Ballyfermot, so but that's a good segment to go into then from shying out of things and getting involved in stuff, because then you said that
Mm.
you start learning instruments and you start
Hmm.
making songs yourself. And please give the origin background of why you started music, because I like the story for the people that don't know.
Why I started music? Well, when I was a kid, I don't know why, but it was going back to kind of being like awkward in school and stuff, and like going back to like the Hawaii days and things like I'm a giant Superman fan, for example, and I remember like that wasn't cool,
Mm,
like among the kids, and for some reason like music was a little bit in that vein. Like I don't know why, like it wasn't cool to like sing or dance or something like that. I don't know, maybe as being a guy or whatever it was, but
yeah.
it was when. But the movie that single-handedly changed my life and is honestly my favorite movie of all time is School of Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie, just I can quote that movie like word for word. I could probably perform that entire movie, every single scene, song beats, scene
Yeah.
transition, everything. Because I've seen it that many times, like on VHS back to back, and it was the first time where I was like, music is fucking cool, man.
Mm.
Like the power of music and the way he gets all the kids to kind of break out of their shells. And Jack Black is also just such a treasure in that movie. It's definitely his best film by far. Just
Yeah.
everything he gives to it and stuff. And I'm playing a tribute to it at some point during quarantine. I'm not gonna say what it is, but
Yeah.
I'll definitely let you know when I do it.
Yeah. Please do. Yeah.
But that was where I was like okay, music is really cool. And then the second film that came after it that really cemented like learning guitar was also a Jack Black film, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
Oh, that's a brilliant
But
film.
it came out about like 2 years or so after. Like School of Rock got me like listening to music and into it and stuff. Like my mom's really into rock,
Mm.
like the Rolling Stones and stuff, and that kind of thing. But then the Tenacious D movie was then what got me to like, okay, I'm gonna learn guitar now, and like Tribute and all those songs. And
Mhm.
I know they're like a comedy band, but Tenacious D like single-handedly have changed my life, because I probably wouldn't have studied music. I probably wouldn't have gone to Maynooth if
Mm.
my life probably would be super different.
Yeah.
Like they're the reason I learned guitar, and Jack Black is such an amazing voice and that inspired me to like learn to really sing and do lessons and
Mhm.
all that stuff. And I always try to channel a bit of Jack Black when I perform,
Yeah.
in any type of performance, because he's just it's just like my hero.
Mm. Well, that's good then, because you done this is a while ago now. I'd say what, I don't know how many months or so, but we were doing the last stand up night or so like that as well, and you performed
Mhm.
your first stand up comedy set. And I'm
I
telling you now,
did.
man, for your first time ever getting up on that stage, there, I was fucking wetting myself laughing. And then when you done the performance of recreating the song from School of Rock, everybody was
Mhm.
just like, "Holy shit!" Like, what's that? And Nick like kept looking at me, going, "This is good." Like, I was like, "Yeah, yeah," but like that. But it is good that there's people out there like that inspires people like us, because I would call me and yourself creators. Like, people, we like to create
Mm.
things and entertain. That's what we like to do. The reasons why we do it for ourselves as well, or so, because we like it, but we also like to do it to kind of do it for the people, because I hope one day that there's someone that comes out and says, I'm doing this because of this guy. Do you get me? Because of
Yeah,
myself.
that
So
that's
imagine
always
someone
the
came up
goal.
to you. Yeah. Imagine someone came up to you and said that to you. You know you're doing the right thing then. Do you get me? You know you're doing the right thing if you're
Mm.
inspiring others. But you do have a song that I would ask you to play, if you don't mind, right now. So if you want to take it away, and I'll let you do it.
This song, it's a song. I always start off with this speech. It's a
Right, go
song
on.
about a Hawaiian issue very close to my heart. It's very serious. It's called The Great Debate. I've gotta say what's on my mind. Something's just not right. Gotta stand up for what's right to me. 'Cause there's so much hate online. Some say it's a crime. Finally, it's time to say. So tell me what's wrong with pineapple on pizza. I just don't understand what's the big deal. You get your savory and sweet in one meal. What else could you want on your margarita? Hey, it's party time. What we ordering tonight? Pizza, alright. Let's call. What toppings would you like? Ah, shit, we're in a fight. Please put down the knife, my friend. And tell me what's wrong with pineapple on pizza. I just don't understand what's the big deal. You get your savory and sweet in one meal. What else could you want on your margarita? Tell me what's wrong with pineapple on pizza. I just don't understand what's the big deal. You get your savory and sweet in one meal. It also goes great with jalapenos.
Right, so we're back. Here we go. Yes, with the likes of that. So, Jonah, how the fuck did you come up with that song?
I came up with that song. Like I've written a bunch of songs. A lot of them are quite serious, like genuinely serious about like serious topics of social justice and stuff, or even like personal things with me or spiritual stuff with me, which I'll put them out there at some stage. But I always wanted to write like a funny song. I wanted to write a song that I also wanted to write a catchy song, and I found it so funny that for like what's it been, like I don't know, 2 years or more, or I feel like more. I feel like half my college life or most of my college life there was the joke, the joke slash meme or whatever about pineapple does not belong on pizza or it does belong on pizza, and it's literally this great debate among people. And if you like say it at like a house party or among a group of friends or something, you will actually get mixed opinions, and some people get really into it, and I find it just
I'm one of
so
those
funny.
people. I'm one of those people. Only messing on
I, I
that.
I find it very funny, like, and like being from Hawaii, I always love to show that. Like you probably noticed at the live sessions, I always have a Hawaiian shirt on, even
Yeah.
wearing one now. It's just my trademark. It's just my thing, and I I just thought like, oh, what if I like wrote a song in that kind of Tenacious D kind of way, where like the lyrics weren't serious, but starts off serious. That's why like I don't want the title of the song to have Pineapple Pizza in the name.
Yeah.
Like I do really want to record it and put it out there, and I even have this vision of making like a cartoon music video to it,
Ooh.
and stuff. And I want it to be like called something like The Great Debate, so that way you don't know what it is about until you get to the chorus. And that's why I always open with like, this is a serious song about a Hawaiian issue close to my heart. And I just loved like the first time I played at the live sessions, and it, like, not saying like they didn't like my songs before, but it was the first time that they like really, I got like such a big reaction from a song that I wrote. And like once I started saying the chorus, like people just were laughing and singing along. And I even have a kazoo solo I add to it sometimes. I couldn't find my kazoo today though. I'm not sure
Yeah, I
where
was
it
like,
is.
hold on, there's pure like boo boo. That's what fucking was going on.
Yeah. I also wasn't sure how it was gonna sound on the mic of this, but
Yeah.
I'll be performing that song definitely on TikTok and other platforms over the course of this quarantine. I definitely want to see if I could get a mic or something in my bedroom, if I could like record it. And the guys that I do like in the band with in Jam Sandwich, shout out to Jam Sandwich,
Yeah.
they live down the road from me, and I could email them the files and they could add the bass and drums, and
Oh,
we actually hopefully get like a decent recording of it. But yeah, and it was just a song that I wanted to write about something I genuinely was passionate about, but have fun with it. I
yeah.
like that it gets in people's heads, and like the guys at the live sessions are always like, that fucking song stuck in my head, Jonah. Like I
It
love
is
it, but I
though. It
also
is
hate
a
it.
catchy song. When you have a catchy hook, people are gonna remember it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it, I definitely would feel like I can do stuff with it. I'm planning to do stuff with it. And thanks for letting me play it on your podcast, Anthony.
No bother, man.
I always like getting the chance to perform it
Yeah.
and putting it out there.
Have you put it out on Spotify or anything yet, or have you put it on any
No, I
platforms?
haven't. I haven't even put it on YouTube yet. I haven't. Like that's one of the things I want to do in this quarantine time, is that I'm braving myself up to do, is to like do like a little live concert, and start like a YouTube channel and putting up my songs regularly and putting it out there. But I'm very particular. I don't want to just put out like just me in a room playing a song. Like that's kind of it's
Yeah.
been done. It
It's
can be a
been done
bit
so many
boring.
times. So many
Yeah,
times.
and it can be a bit boring. Whereas I
Yeah.
feel like if I like say recorded playing it and then I like acted with it or something, or
Yeah.
like I made the kind of skit out of it, or I did the animated. Like I have a friend that does like animation. I've been talking to
Yeah.
him for like the
That's a
last
really good
year
idea. I think that,
about
yeah, I
putting it
think that's a really good
together.
idea. Yeah. I'd be
Yeah,
a really good idea.
I have this vision of like the kind of Let's All Go to the Lobby hot dogs
Yeah.
cartoon, like with like a dancing pineapple pizza
Yeah.
or something. I'm still working at the full gist of it, but no, I definitely want to be putting it out there along with other songs that I've been working on and covers
Hmm.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely, but and just have some kind of cool stuff out there.
Well, come here. I did say this podcast is only going to be for a short bit. I do want you back on the podcast again. If you'd come back on, I'd say you.
Yeah,
I'd say
man,
yeah,
I'd love to
yeah.
go back on. Definitely, I'd love
We
to go
can
back
talk
on.
more about yourself and stuff like that as well. I do want to get more into it. But also, I'd like to do at one stage, me and you and your band do a podcast as well. If they can all get on Zoom and we could all
I
try
think they'd
that
be
if
up
you
for that.
want.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. I'd love.
Yeah.
I'm definitely planning to do some type of. I'm working it out with the guys in Jam Sandwich to like have some kind of minimal live jam sesh, but it has to be done in a very particular way, a very quiet way. That way, people still stay roughly in sync with one another.
I think are
Um,
you guys very close? Would you say you are very close, like brothers?
yeah, God, I lived with one of them for like about 3 years. Yeah, I would
Jesus.
say I'm close
Yeah.
with them. And the other guy I've known, like that's John, and then I've known Chris since I was first year in college. So like I go back with those guys. I would say I'm quite close. I would call them my brothers. Yeah, for sure. I definitely would call
And
them that, and they're awesome. And I want to mention really quickly because I always like mentioning this um that I'm so grateful that just before the quarantine happened, before the lockdown happened, we actually got to have our most successful gig yet in the live sessions.
yeah, do you want to talk about that for a little bit? Do you want to talk
Um,
like a little
well,
small
what
description?
are we low on time or
No,
short?
no,
Or
no. Keep on going. I can record for an hour. I don't mind, but I'm just saying. If you want to give a small description of what you did, what you done, like what you done
Yeah,
recently.
yeah, it was minute history because it was another quirky thing about me is that I do drag. Um,
Now, is that
uh,
is that something that you're actually interested in doing, or is it just for these type of gigs and stuff like that?
no, I genuinely do it, and
Yeah,
you could have a whole podcast of me talking about the
yeah,
reasons and
yeah.
etc. It
Well,
goes
we
into
can for the second
deeper.
one now when you could join when you come back now because I did notice I did look on your Instagram, I did look on Facebook. I'm not stalking. I'm just saying. Don't give me that noise, boy. I'm just saying. I have to if I'm going to interview someone. I want to look at their social media, kind of get the
Oh
vibe.
yeah, that's the right way to interview.
Yeah, and that's the vibe I got from earlier when I wanted to talk about you're involved in so much stuff. So
Mm.
how did they get to that? And then when you said that, I was actually you were shy, not shy, but you're kind of yourself. Like I was just like, what the fuck? Like so, this is interesting. So I did find that interesting from going from there to that. But yeah,
Yeah,
for the likes of the
definitely.
the drag and stuff like that, I would like if you don't mind, even we come back on and we can talk about that if you like. It's up to
Yeah,
us.
no, I'm always happy to talk about that because I want to put that out there and stuff. And I'm a very unique person in that field because I'm a straight drag queen, and that's a very rare
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
in that world. But no, this is something I genuinely do, and that's something I've gotten into in college over the last like 4 or 5 years or so. And lots I could say on that. But to note on our last gig, which was on March 10th, which was literally, to give context, that's 2 days before when they started to close the schools down. They closed the schools down and educations and stuff on the 12th, and then it was the like roughly the 15th or 16th when everything was going into lockdown. And our gig had about 150 people there, and we know that
Jesus.
we know that because we ticketed the event, not to like charge money. It was actually raising money for a
Yeah.
great cause for Ataxia Foundation Ireland, which was the chosen college charity of the SU. We collaborated with the Pride Society of the Maynooth College and also with the great drag events group House of Wig. Shout out to the House of Wig.
That's the
They're
way.
worth checking out, and most of them are based in Maynooth as well. And we just put those two parties together with our band Jam Sandwich and with the live sessions, and we just made a big. We wanted to make it as big as possible, and it was a mix of like, for anyone that's not been to a drag show before, drag shows are mainly like the drag queen dances and lip syncs to a song.
Yeah.
Is like the most cliche thing. Maybe they do stand up or whatever, but drag, like going back to like the early history of it, started as like men that dressed as women to like impersonate the divas they were dressing as, and they would like sing like them, and they would be like live singing. Like lip syncing came way later. That's just a quick tidbit because a lot of the queens that were in House of Wig and stuff that were involved in this gig could sing or play, and so we mixed that with the band,
Yeah.
which is very unique and really exciting. And we had so much fun like putting it together and the songs and stuff. And I'm still like gradually putting up the photos and stuff on the Jam Sandwich Facebook and Instagram and all that jazz and my own social media. And it was just so great. And it happened, and then this happened. Like it's the last normal thing that happened kind of before this all kicked off. And I'm just still so grateful it was one of those events that didn't get canceled. Dragon Jam. It was so cool to be able to have that last kind of thing before we're all indoors.
Before this, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I just want to say that like I knew people growing up that they didn't care what other people thought of them. And I wasn't one of them people. I was afraid, like I always was scared or afraid that what people thought of me. So I didn't act the way I would be now. Like, you know, I wouldn't act like weird and fun weird or whatever, right? But I have to admire that. I know it's accepted a lot now, but I have to admire for, you said you're a straight drag queen. Yeah. So I have to admire that for yourself to come out from where you started off, that shy kid that didn't want to come out of the house, that was like, fuck this, I don't want to go outside, to start getting involved in things, to doing live shows in front of other people and gigs and stuff like that as well, and getting like, you're literally looking at them and you're seeing their reaction as you do it, which you know yourself is, you can see, oh shit, no, some people are like, no, but some people to going and doing this drag. I literally have to applaud you for that, because where I live, where I did live, where my ma's and dad's is, my mom and dad is, you can't walk around that estate wearing certain clothes. You can't go around that estate. If you were gay, you couldn't go around that estate because you'd be bet up. Do you get me? If you go around certain clothes, they call you names. If a black person walks around my estate, you hear the kids screaming the N-word. It's not a nice area. It's fucked up. And
Yeah.
I think that if you were raised up where I was, and that you are the way you are, I can tell that, because my brother Adam is the same. He's like rocker, fucking loves skateboarding, he fucking does what he wants, wears the clothes that he wants, doesn't care. And you and my brother Adam have that similarity of, you don't give a fuck, like you don't care. And I have to admire that, because for so long I wasn't like that, and I'm only starting to do that the past probably 3 years or so, that probably 2 years. Like, right, I don't give a fuck. Like, so I have this, like, literally, I know they say I have to take me hat off, tip me hat off, whatever they say about that, but I literally, I actually admire that so much.
Thank you.
So fucking fair play to you for that. I try not to curse in the podcast, but when I'm serious and I'm talking, my Clondalkin comes down with me like course, and it's just natural. It's just something I'm off. But I do want to ask you one thing before we go. And I did ask you before, is that I believe in ghosts, I believe in paranormal and stuff like that as well. So I don't have any experience with them, but I do believe that when we're gone, there is somewhere else that we're going to go, or there is people walking around that we cannot see. But I'm just asking for yourself, do you have any stories or any personal experiences? Ooh, scary.
I'm a big believer in all types of quirky things. I'm especially a very spiritual person, and that's like my grounding of everything to do with me. Like when I was a kid, I was raised both Catholic and Hindu, because my dad was practicing a form of Hindu before he met my mom, and then my mom grew up Catholic, and so I like grew up like with those two perspectives. And then over time, I've kind of just explored um, like other elements of other faiths. Like I do chakra meditations and angel card readings and stuff like that. And I wouldn't really have any ghost stories myself necessarily. I've had like very spiritual experiences that were pretty trippy. Um, like I don't know how you feel about like when you take with the thing when people like take photos and like if an orb of light appears and not
Yeah.
from a lens flare, like it's unexplainable orb of light. Whatever people's opinions on it, I believe in it. And I've had experiences like that where like based on the kind of praying or whatever meditation I did before that, and then kind of experiencing kind of orbs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But ghost stories I do have, not my own, sadly, but
Mm.
to end your podcast on, I think might be kind of cool, kind of spooky note to end on. But
Mhm.
Maynooth College is the old part of it. It's like 200 years old, no more. 17. Oh, I can't remember the exact date, but
Yeah.
it's very old anyway. So it's over a few hundred years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My history degree just went out the window there. Um, and the security guards, if you talk to certain ones, they have stories to tell. And in college, I helped create a online newspaper for students. And one article that I wrote before was interviewing a few of the college security guards about the ghost stories on the campus. And probably the spookiest one was because there's all sorts of ghost stories if you look up in Maynooth of certain rooms and etc. But the scariest one by far was the security guard, and he was doing his patrolling around, and it's about like 2 in the morning, and it was when there was this. It was the night just happened. Was like this big priest conference thing. Oh yeah, Maynooth used to is like a place where like people become priests and stuff. For those that don't know that, they probably know that. Just throwing it out there. And he's walking past this door. He notices a shadow in it, like of a person. He was like, "That's odd." And so he goes in, and the way that he said that this one room is designed, it's like the light is at the back of the room and at the front of the room. So he walked in and he looked all around and saw nothing there. And he's like, I don't know why I did this, but he like turned the light off from the back of the room. And so he was walking back like in the pitch black to walk back. And he's
Mad
like, I don't know why I
bastard.
did this. Yeah, mad bastard.
Yeah.
And he and this is also about like I think he said it was like 2 years into his job, 2 years or so into working on the campus as a security guard, and he says that he just turned around and then he just saw this like 6 foot um like human like person, like human shaped person in front of him, very lanky, long, black, with like white eyes, just screaming at him. And he said like it lasted for a good like he said it felt like eternity, but probably was like 30 seconds to a minute or so. But it was just like he was just absolutely petrified, and then like it kind of stops. It kind of just then turned and just disappeared like into the wall or whatever. And he was just like absolutely just petrified. And then like one of the priests comes down, and he's kind of like oh, and he's trying to get his composure back. He's like, oh, I didn't see their father, and he's just kind of like just talking to him, and the priest just is like oh, like I have to ask, like, what was that awful racket? And he was kind of like, I gotta keep my professionalism. And he was as I said, he was like I think 2 years or so into the job, and he was like, oh, it's a bad frequency on my radio. It's just like it's just something to do with that. And the priest just like looked at him in that kind of way. He was like, there's bad frequencies in that building, all right. And and he kind of he has a lot, that particular security guard had a lot of ghost stories, he told me. And that was probably the scariest one. Like he said, like if you're in that situation, you wouldn't want a heart condition because you probably would have had a heart attack just witnessing that. But his coping method for every time he experienced something supernatural on the campus was he would research that building, and he found out that there's a priest in that building that died like 100 years or so earlier. like from his like appendix blowing up or something, and he died screaming. And he even talked to like some of the cleaners that work in that building, and they're like, "Oh, that's that guy that rattles around and screams." It's kind of just like, "Oh yeah, that's normal." And it's, but then so the security guards say that it's BS, but he like him and a few others are like, "No, like it's real." It's almost like Ninth Museum. It's interesting.
I was not fucking expecting that. That scared the straight out of me. I love horror films, but they scare me. And
Same. It's a
I
love-hate
can't watch horror.
relationship.
I can't watch horror films at night because I'm just I just can't sleep. I can't turn off the light at night. I can turn off the light, but I can't be in a pitch dark room. That's my thing. I'm afraid of the dark, like pitch. If I put my hand up to my face and I can't see my hand, I instantly boom terrified. That was scary. That is such a good story though.
Yeah, it is a good
I was
one.
like, right, where's this going? Next of all, he fucking turned around and he's like, ah, and he started screaming. I was like, what the fuck? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine though? And like,
Oh, he was like nervous telling me it too. He was kind of like, I could tell like this was so real for him. He was
yeah,
just
like he's
like,
reliving it there and then. Like,
and
Jesus.
like he told me like before he started as the security, before he worked as a security guard, he was completely didn't believe in supernatural. He was like, he walked through a graveyard when he was a kid to get home because it was the shortcut. He like, and he said like since working there, like he can't watch horror films. He is definitely a believer. It's like it's just I find it just it's like that was his scariest story by far. Like other ones was just kind of like seeing a person for a second and then they disappeared like out of thin air, like stuff like that, or like doors closing and kind of things that was still scary but not as scary as like that one. That was the one he was like, whew.
Well, it was a good shot.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Well, I did ask you, and you fucking delivered, and you delivered perfectly. That was a great story. I am going to be asking every guest from now on, do you believe inside that what I just asked you? So far, Jonah, you have the title because you're the first one, but I don't know if people will. I don't know if people will fucking live up to that one now, because even though it didn't happen to you, that story itself, I did ask for a story, and it's a good story.
It's a true
So
story, yeah.
just stay safe, people. And likes of that. Yeah, so Jonah, I do want you back on. And if you're wondering why, like, I'm literally looking at the lens now, so it looks like I'm looking at you, but literally I have to look at you, so it looks like I'm not even paying attention. So just in case you were thinking that. But guys, yeah, so this is it for this episode 37. I'm not messing. I'm not saying it just because you're here or something. I say that a lot. That's like my catchphrase. I'm not saying this because you're here. I'm not saying this because you're here, but literally this is the most one, you and Greg, and I'd say Bobby and James, the four out of the ones I've done so far that I had guests on, are the most chilled out. Now, I have to say this one was one of the most chilled out podcasts I had, where it's just easy to talk to, because when you're talking to someone, and we know each other, but we don't know each other that much. That's why I like doing podcasts now. I get to know people a lot better.
Totally.
For the likes of that. And I think I do know you a bit more, for the likes of that. But I do want you back on, and I do want you to come on with your band as well at some stage, if you guys can order that. But I was going to say before I left as well, that you guys should even start your own podcast, the four of you. Is there four of you? Is there a three?
It's a bit of a rotating door, because like our whole philosophy is that we like let people kind of join in the jams and do their original songs and stuff with us and etc. So we have like many like members, you could say, but we have like one core band, like one like the core like four or three of us. But yeah.
I knew it was either four or three. I fucking knew it.
Roughly that, yeah. But then
you do get people to come in and chill out, yeah, and
which is kind of what makes it unique, yeah. All
well,
part of the jam.
I think you guys should do one podcast just record the way we're doing now and see what it turns out. You don't even have to release, just see what it's like. But thanks very much for coming on. I do really appreciate it. Thank you. My chipper's on the way, and I don't know if it's here or not yet. So just in time, I think she's going to get to the door to get it. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. Remember, Jonah, if you want anything promoted, I'm going to leave links down in the description below. Please
sure.
They send me the links on Messenger. We're friends on Facebook and stuff like that as well. So send me all them and I'll put them down in the description. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Remember, it's not the best podcast, but it's not the worst podcast. It's just an alright podcast. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll chat to you again. Goodbye.
Bye.